Hello guys, I will explain you what the collections are. So this is the collection, the main entity, and this is a sub collection which is nested inside of the collection. Uh, I don't remember what the exact maximum of sub collections that you can have. So, but collection is like the father, and sub collections are like sons. There can be grandsons as well, and so on. So another concept, important concept, is to understand what is collection groups. Collection groups, every collection or sub-collection has to have a name. So with that name, we can call it without thinking about where it's nested, or so it can be anywhere on the database. So if the sub-collection has the same name, it's gonna call it. So we can fetch that content to deal with. So it's very useful sometimes. Okay, collections in FireCMS. So we're gonna start creating the collections. So here we have the documentation which is says how to build a collections. So for doing that, we have, first of all, we have a sub collection by default, but it's good, to create a folder, a file which contains the collection, because it's too many lines of code. So we're gonna create products.ts. Okay, cool. So we're gonna copy the collection part. Sorry. Okay, cool. So we are gonna import. Okay, we have something to delete. One sec. Nice. So we are going for the collection. Okay, cool. And we have a different file. Okay, nice. So okay, let's delete this part, which is, okay, nice. Okay, the first thing that I want to show you is here we have already some examples of products. Okay, I'm going to give you a tip that I have developed. I'm going to create an index.cs, and I'm going to create a variable that I will export called co based on collection, So I type the name of the collection products, and I can export it, and I won't have typo errors, you know what I mean? So it's direct, and there is not, you will avoid bugs doing that, and man, it's awesome. It's awesome. So you have the collection name there, so you can watch it, or anybody in the team, if there is one change of the meanwhile you're developing, you can do it easily without having too much problems. And if you, for example, have sub collections, I like to put an underscore on my sub collection, so I understand that it's nested. And if I have another nested sub collection, I will create the same name, and I will create another underscore and so other sub collection, So it's really easy having this standard, and anyone in the team can understand it easily, and actually I can add comments. Okay, this sub collection does this thing. So because it is great to add comments to the codes. Cool. Nice. So let's continue. Okay, that is path. Path is the name of the sub collection inside our database. Okay, let's work right now with permissions. So right now we have all the permissions available. Everything is in true. However, maybe I would like to validate if, for example, there is a specific email, or a specific UID, or even a specific role with custom claims. I could add those informations. So what we're going to do is that we are gonna create the function in order to validate. Okay, so we have to return some values. Right now it is working fine, as you see it. But let's see what happens if we, for example, this UID, which is mine, the current, and we add, if this is equal, we add false, So let's check what it happens. And okay, it appears the icon. However, If I click there, I cannot delete because I don't have the correct permissions. So maybe you could add some custom claims for that. Okay, cool. Okay, next property that we're going to see are actions. Okay, actions. What are actions? Actions are like extra things that you could do, or are UIs. You can. I would like to add. Okay, but first of all, it's the first one is name. So name. Sorry, name is that you can add the name. It doesn't mean that it has to be the same as the collection. At the collection in your files or database. So you can add any name that you want to. So that's great because you can make it easier for people to understand it. Okay, next thing that we are going to see are actions. So actions are like a React element, So you can create React. Let's create a component instead because it's way better practice, being honest. So you could use effect or any HTTP call and you can add, for example, the buttons. Okay, let's change it for a React component, and let's check what props has inside. Okay, cool. So there you have your custom actions. You could add, for example, a HTTP. I don't know. I have used it and it's really useful because you don't have to. It is easier to add it to the UI and you can add your custom logic inside of it. So there you have the content of the props that you get, context of control. Well, all this information that you can use for doing your custom actions. Singular name. Okay. It doesn't mean, for example, if you have the name of the collection, it doesn't mean that you would like to have, or maybe it's too much for. I would like to have a singular name. You know what I mean? So I add just a because it's shorter. So I add a name, for example, in Spanish says, and you could have your custom singular name there. So it is cool. Filter combination from code. So this is about that you, for example, want some initial filter. Maybe most of the times, majority of time, I would just want to, get the data in a certain way. Or maybe I would like to force a filter which is specific. I don't want to see anything else outside of that. So you have initial sort as well. Okay, but you could as well filter with the UI. So by default, you have these buttons, to order, or maybe that drop down in order to say that is equal to, for example, to private. Let's filter that. Yeah, you could add that, But let's just to make sure, if you choose to use force filter, I don't think it works. It disable all the other queries that are available. So just saying that. So, but you could order, so it is great. Additional fields. Additional fields are useful, are like something that you can customize. Let's say that I don't know, maybe you have another database, maybe an SQL database, you want to see some information regarding a UID or anything like that. So what we are going to do, okay, I have a problem right there. So it's because builder is APK, it has to do with uppercase. So I was saying that you could render for a specific row, you could render an additional field. So it is incredible, So let's add an input, for example, Okay, here is our input. However, I wanna take the props and I wanna get the ID. But first of all, we're going to use callback functions in order to show you that you can do a HTTP request. So we use the callback on fetch. So it means that every time it fetches the entity or the row, okay, let's correct this thing. Every time it's okay. Let me see here because okay, it is entity props. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do right now is that we are going to return an additional information in the object. So saying that, for example, we had made an HTTP request to another server, and we're gonna add it to our custom field that we have set. So we get the entity ID from there, from the props. Yeah, so let's do it. Values equal to entity, value entity dot values. We have to spread that. Okay, nice. So we add, the other, because that's the, well, I made a little mistake, it's like I add the ID, I add custom action because it's the ID that I put for the additional field, So I just add this information. Let's say that I just fetch the information, but let's check first that everything is working fine. Okay, cool. It is working good. Let's check right now the props. Okay, nice. So with the props that we receive, we are going to receive obviously the values. So it's inside of entity. First of all, props has entity, and entity has values. So inside of values, I know that I have fetched the information, and I have a custom, well, that is the name that I put for, well, I have an HTTP error. So but that is the name of the key that I set. So I can add that information and I can see it on my view, on my row. So, okay, let's just refresh that. And pretty cool, it is there. You can have your custom views, your custom rows easily. So we could add a sync there in the callback in order to just do the HTTP that I said to you, that we could do it. Okay, so something additional that I would like to do in order to just for you to see is I would like to add the ID, So you could do it, the fetch. Will have a relationship with the ID, so you already have the ID there. Okay, nice. Let's change this thing because I was doing a mistake. This is an additional field. This is not a custom view. A custom action, because custom action is something different, and that is the additional field. That's how you can use it. Other callbacks. Okay, so there is on fetch, there is on pre-save, there is on pre-save. This is my favorite one. I use it all the time. But there is on success, on save failure. It is quite easily and it works the same. You add your own logic inside of it. So, but I use a lot on pre-save, especially when I upload images that I want to have a absolute path, because the database returns like a path in the bucket. I don't want that for just, I want the specific URL. So I do a pre-save, and I will show you that later. Custom view and entities. So custom views. Okay, custom views are like I have all the information of my form, of my entity. So I could create something, with all the fields. In this case, I'm just showing just the title. So, but I could have all, this is useful if you, for example, use remotion, maybe that it has a lot of parameters. You could build a remotion video, or if you use Google Maps, you could add your Google Maps, which is pretty useful, that you get from the data from the form. So it is another way that you could customize it. Okay, text search. Text search are usually done with Algolia or Miley search. I don't remember what other options are there. So this is the documentation which says so. You have to get the Algolia IDs and all these things and add it to text controller. So let's see what text controller is about. So first of all, you check the path, and after you check the path, you return the Algolia text search. So that's what you do. It's pretty easy. I am not going to do an Algolia process because it takes a bit of time, to be honest. However, I will recommend you, it is in Spanish, but maybe you can search for one in English, one video from me there, that it just shows how it works with Firebase. It's really awesome. I recommended you a lot. Okay, nice. Okay, inline editing. Okay, you could edit, in line. Maybe you want to disable editing or, well, X, Y, and Z. You could edit from this sidebar. So it's worth fine. But however, when you have a lot of fields, you could edit all of them just in line, by row, exportable. By default, you could export any collection. Okay, this is great. However, maybe we have sensible information that we wouldn't like to share or we wouldn't like to go away. So we add exportable folds from in the data collection. So right now, I don't see the icon. The icon that I saw before, I didn't see it anymore.